Ever feel like you're just spinning your wheels? Like there's got to be a better way to approach problems and make decisions.
Hmm.
Well, today we're diving into John C. Maxwell's How Successful People Think to see if he has any answers.
Okay.
He breaks down 11 distinct thinking styles that contribute to success. Ready to upgrade your mental operating system?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
What's fascinating is that Maxwell starts with a really bold statement. Success is a direct result of thinking.
Whoa.
Not luck, not circumstance, but a well-trained mind.
He even compares a sharp mind to a diamond mine that never runs dry.
Yeah.
So how do we tap into that mental wealth?
Well, he outlines a 5-step process for becoming a better thinker.
Okay.
And it's not a one-time fix.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it as building a habit, like working out. The more you do it, the stronger you get. He calls this the snowball effect.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but let's be real. Sometimes I feel like I'm surrounded by people who drain my brain power, not boost it.
Yeah.
Does Maxwell address that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He actually stresses the importance of surrounding yourself with what he calls sharp people.
Okay.
Those who challenge you, offer different perspectives, and help you see things in new ways.
Now that makes sense. It's like having a personal board of advisors just for your thoughts.
Exactly.
But thinking takes time, and let's face it, most of us are pretty busy.
Mm-hmm.
How does someone like Dan Cathy, the president of Chick-fil-A, find time to think when he's running a massive company?
Well, Maxwell shares that Dan Cathy actually schedules time in his calendar specifically for thinking.
Oh, wow.
If a high-powered CEO can prioritize it, maybe we all can.
So it's not just about finding time to think. It's about being intentional about it.
Exactly.
But where do we even begin? How do we generate those great ideas in the first place?
Maxwell gives us a framework for that, too. He lays out 5 stages for generating and developing thoughts.
Okay.
First, you need a dedicated space for thinking,
Okay.
a place where you can focus and let your mind wander.
Makes sense. You need the right environment. But then what? Ideas don't just magically appear, do they?
No, you have to actively shape them.
Okay.
This is where you analyze your initial thoughts, scrutinize them, see if they hold up.
Mm-hmm.
Maxwell even says this is his favorite part. It's where he finds humor, humility, and fulfillment.
Okay. So we've got the idea. We've poked and prodded it a bit. What's next?
Then it's time to stretch your thoughts.
Okay.
This is where collaboration comes in.
Right.
Bringing in other people to bounce ideas off of, to help you see new angles and possibilities. Maxwell has a formula for this. Right thought plus right people plus right environment plus right time plus right reason, right result. And let me tell you, breaking down that formula is really where you start to understand its power.
Wow. That's quite a formula.
Yeah.
It's like baking a cake. You need all the right ingredients in the right proportion.
Exactly.
But what happens when you've got this amazing, well-baked idea?
That's where you need to land your thoughts.
Okay.
This stage is all about moving from concept to application.
So figuring out how to actually put your ideas into action.
Exactly.
So true. An idea without action is just a daydream. But once you've got a solid plan, what's the final step?
It's time to let those thoughts fly.
Okay.
This is where execution takes over. You've thought it through, you've planned it out, now it's time to make it happen.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. We've laid the groundwork for how to think better.
Yeah.
But now let's get into the specifics.
Okay.
Maxwell talks about 11 types of thinking.
Yeah.
Right? Can we dive into those now?
Absolutely, but since we're going for a deep dive here, we'll focus on the most impactful points for you.
Great. I'm ready to unlock those mental treasures.
Yeah.
Let's start with big picture thinking. I think a lot of us get bogged down in the day-to-day and forget to look at the bigger picture.
That's exactly what this type of thinking is all about. It's about seeing beyond the immediate and understanding the broader context.
Okay.
You have to be able to connect the dots between seemingly unrelated events and think strategically about the long term.
So it's not just about thinking big, it's about thinking broadly. But how do you actually cultivate that kind of thinking?
Maxwell's a great example of this. He tells a story about having dinner with a group of NFL coaches.
Oh, interesting.
He wasn't there to talk football strategy. He wanted to learn about teamwork. He picked their brains, asking tons of questions about how they build a high-performing team.
Mm-hmm.
Big picture thinkers like him are always looking for lessons and connections in unexpected places.
That's fascinating. Makes you wonder what you could learn from someone outside your usual circle. Speaking of learning, what about focused thinking? It seems like with all the distractions these days, it's harder than ever to concentrate.
You're absolutely right. Focused thinking is more crucial than ever in our world of constant information overload. It's about choosing what deserves your attention and filtering out the noise.
It's easier said than done, though.
Right.
Any tips on how to actually get better at focusing?
Well, remember how we talked about Dan Cathy's scheduling time for thinking? Well, Maxwell does the same thing. He dedicates his mornings to thinking and writing.
Oh, wow.
Maybe you could try carving out a dedicated time for focused work or deep thinking. See if it makes a difference for you.
Okay, so scheduled thinking time is key.
Yeah.
But what about those aha moments, that spark of inspiration that seems to come out of nowhere? Is that just luck, or is there a way to cultivate creative thinking?
Maxwell had a really interesting take on this. He believes that creativity is sparked by asking the right questions. He even provides a list of thought-provoking questions that you can use to tap into your own creative potential.
So it's not about waiting for the muse to strike. It's about actively seeking inspiration.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like my creativity runs wild and I come up with these crazy ideas that are completely unrealistic.
Yeah.
Is there a way to balance that creative energy with practicality?
That's where realistic thinking comes in.
Okay.
It's all about being grounded in reality. It's about understanding the potential challenges and obstacles that you might face and finding a way to balance optimism with a healthy dose of pragmatism.
So it's not about squashing our dreams, but about making sure they have a solid foundation in reality.
Yeah.
Any tips on how to be more realistic without being a total buzzkill?
Well, think back to that story Maxwell shared about the intense security measures at the 2002 Super Bowl after 9/11. It was a time of heightened anxiety, but instead of panicking, the organizers took practical steps to ensure everyone's safety. That's a perfect example of realistic thinking in action.
Okay, that's a great example.
Yeah.
So it's about anticipating potential problems and finding practical solutions.
Oh, right.
But what about when we feel overwhelmed by a big project or a complex goal?
Mm-hmm.
How do we break things down into manageable steps?
That's where strategic thinking comes in.
Okay.
It's all about planning, organizing, and finding the most efficient path to your goals. Think of it as simplifying the complex.
Okay, that sounds helpful, but I'm a very visual person.
Right.
Do you have a concrete example of strategic thinking in action?
Well, Maxwell shares how he uses a really detailed system for filing all of his quotes and stories.
Oh, interesting.
This way, whenever he needs to find the perfect anecdote or illustration for a point he's making, he can easily locate it. It's a great way to work smarter, not harder.
Wow, that's a brilliant system. So strategic thinking is all about finding systems and processes that work for you.
Exactly.
But what about those times when we feel like giving up on our dreams because they seem impossible? How do we stay motivated and optimistic?
That's where possibility thinking is essential.
Okay.
It's about having a mindset of abundance and believing in what's possible even when others doubt you.
Okay, I need some of that. But how do you cultivate that kind of unwavering belief?
Think about George Lucas and the making of Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
So many people told him it was impossible, but he believed in his vision, and the rest is history. It's a powerful reminder that belief can fuel extraordinary accomplishments.
That's truly inspiring. But what about when we make mistakes? How do we learn from our experiences and avoid repeating the same errors? Is that where reflective thinking comes in?
Exactly. It's about taking a step back, examining your experiences, and extracting valuable lessons from both your successes and your failures. It's how you turn life into a continuous learning journey.
I like that. But sometimes I find it hard to be objective when I'm reflecting on my own experiences.
Yeah.
Any tips on how to do it effectively?
Well, Maxwell has a really simple yet powerful technique.
Okay.
He used to ask his kids 2 questions after every vacation. What did you like best? And what did you learn? It's a great way to encourage reflection and extract meaning from any experience.
Those are such great questions. I'm definitely going to start using those.
Yeah.
But what about those times when we feel pressured to conform to follow the crowd?
Yeah.
How do we break free from that and think for ourselves?
That's where question popular thinking comes in.
Okay.
It's about being willing to challenge assumptions and look for alternative perspectives, even if it means going against the grain. Remember, sometimes the path less traveled is the most rewarding.
It takes courage to go against the grain, though? Do you have an example of someone who's successfully challenged popular thinking?
Well, Maxwell shares a funny story about how he got last-minute tickets to a sold-out Broadway show right after 9/11.
Oh, wow.
Everyone was staying home, but he saw an opportunity. He went against the crowd, and it paid off.
That's a great reminder that sometimes the best opportunities are found when you dare to think differently. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from
Mm.
big picture thinking to focused thinking to creative thinking and more. But I'm starting to see a theme emerging here: the importance of collaboration. Is that where benefit from shared thinking comes in?
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that none of us is as smart as all of us. Bringing together diverse perspectives and experiences can lead to breakthroughs that would be impossible to achieve alone.
I totally agree. But how do you find the right people to collaborate with? Those who will challenge you and inspire you?
Maxwell shares a story about how, early in his career, he actively sought out mentorship from successful pastors. He wasn't afraid to ask for help and guidance. It's a powerful reminder that seeking out mentors and collaborators can accelerate your growth and success.
That's inspiring. It's like building a mastermind group for your life. But I think it's important to remember that success isn't just about personal gain. It's about making a positive impact on the world around us. Is that where practice unselfish thinking comes in?
You got it. It's about shifting the focus from yourself to others, thinking about how you can add value and contribute to something bigger than yourself.
That sounds beautiful in theory, but do you have a real-world example of unselfish thinking in action?
Absolutely. Maxwell talks about the pharmaceutical company Merck.
Okay.
They developed a cure for river blindness, a terrible disease that affects millions of people in developing countries.
Oh, wow.
But here's the incredible part. They gave the cure away for free, even though they knew the target population couldn't afford it. It's truly inspiring.
Wow. That's amazing. It shows that true success is about making a difference, not just making a profit. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of different types of thinking, but how do we know which one to use when? How do we bring it all together?
That's where rely on bottom line thinking comes in.
Okay.
It's all about clarity, focus, and results. It's about identifying your desired outcome and aligning your actions accordingly.
So it's about having a clear goal in mind and then choosing the thinking style that will best help you achieve it.
Right.
But can you give me an example of how someone successfully applied bottom line thinking?
Well, Maxwell tells the story of Frances Hesselbein, who transformed the Girl Scouts of America.
Oh, wow.
She did it by getting crystal clear on their bottom line to help girls reach their highest potential. Once she had that clarity, she aligned everything from their programs to their organizational structure with that core mission.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
It shows how understanding your bottom line can be the driving force behind transformative change.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, exploring all 11 thinking styles. It's a lot to take in,
It is.
but hopefully you're starting to see how each of these thinking styles can be a valuable tool in your own journey to success.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm sure our listeners are eager to hear more about how they can apply these thinking styles in their own lives. So let's take a quick break and come back for part 2, where we'll delve into practical applications and real-world examples.
Sounds good. You know, it's one thing to understand these different thinking styles,
Right.
but it's another to actually put them into practice.
Mm-hmm.
How can we use these tools to navigate our daily lives and work towards our goals?
Exactly. It's like having a toolbox full of shiny new tools.
Yeah,
We need to know which one to use for which job.
right.
So where should we start? Maybe with something we can all relate to.
Okay. How can we leverage these thinking styles to boost our productivity, creativity, and success in our careers?
Well, think about how much time you waste at work because you can't focus.
Wow.
Focused thinking is like a superpower in today's workplace.
Okay.
It's all about minimizing distractions and prioritizing what truly matters.
But how do you actually do that when you're bombarded with emails, Slack messages, and a constant stream of to-dos?
Start by setting aside dedicated blocks of time for focused work.
Okay.
Turn off notifications, close unnecessary tabs, and create a space where you can truly concentrate.
Hmm.
Even just 30 minutes of focused time can make a huge difference in your productivity.
That's a great tip. And what about those big daunting projects that seem impossible to tackle?
Right.
How can we use strategic thinking to break them down into manageable steps?
Think about it this way.
Okay.
If you were climbing Mount Everest, you wouldn't just start hiking and hope for the best, right?
No.
You'd need a plan, a route, and a strategy.
Right.
The same applies to any large project. Define clear objectives. Break the project down into smaller milestones and develop a step-by-step plan to reach your goal.
Okay, so we've got focus and strategy covered.
Yeah.
But what about those times when we need to come up with fresh, innovative ideas?
Mm-hmm.
How can we tap into our creative thinking at work?
Don't be afraid to shake things up.
Okay.
Encourage brainstorming sessions with your team where there are no bad ideas.
Right.
Look at problems from different angles
Mhm.
and be open to unconventional solutions.
Okay.
Sometimes the most creative ideas come from thinking outside the box.
That's so true. And speaking of teams, shared thinking seems crucial for effective collaboration.
Absolutely.
How can we foster a work environment where everyone feels comfortable sharing their ideas and perspectives?
It all starts with creating a culture of open communication.
Okay.
Encourage active listening, where people truly hear and value each other's contributions.
Mm-hmm.
Make it safe for people to disagree and challenge each other respectfully. Remember, the best solutions often emerge from a healthy debate of ideas.
I think a lot of people struggle with speaking up, especially in a work setting.
Yeah.
How can we make it easier for them to contribute?
Try creating smaller group settings where people feel less intimidated.
Okay.
Or start a no-judgment brainstorming session where the goal is just to generate as many ideas as possible, no matter how wild or crazy they seem.
Those are great tips. It's amazing how these thinking styles can not only help us achieve success in our careers, but also contribute to a more positive and productive work environment.
For sure.
Absolutely. Now let's shift gears and think about our personal growth.
Okay.
After all, what good is professional success if we're not also growing as individuals? How can these thinking styles help us become the best versions of ourselves?
That's a good point.
I'm ready for some self-improvement. Where do we begin?
Start with reflective thinking.
Okay.
Take time each day to pause and reflect on your experiences, both good and bad.
Yeah.
Ask yourself what you learned, how you could have done things differently, and what you're grateful for.
Right.
It's amazing how much you can learn about yourself by simply taking the time to reflect.
I love journaling, so this resonates with me.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in a rut, limited by my own beliefs and fears. How can possibility thinking help me break free from those limitations and expand my horizons?
It's all about shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on what you lack, focus on what's possible. Instead of dwelling on your fears, embrace new challenges and opportunities.
Right.
Believe in your potential and don't be afraid to dream big.
I love that. It's about giving ourselves permission to dream and believing that those dreams can come true.
Yeah.
But how do we translate those dreams into action?
Remember the 5 steps for generating and developing thoughts.
Yes.
Once you've landed your thought, it's time to let it fly.
Yeah.
That's where action comes in. Break down your big goal into smaller steps and start taking action towards it, even if it's just one small step each day.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
It's about taking consistent action towards those big, audacious goals.
exactly.
But what about our relationships with others? How can these thinking styles help us build stronger and more fulfilling connections?
It all starts with being present and engaged with the people we care about.
Okay.
Realistic thinking helps us manage our expectations in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, no one is perfect,
Right.
and every relationship has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
It's about accepting our loved ones for who they are, flaws and all.
That's so important. It's easy to get caught up in idealized versions of people, especially in romantic relationships.
Yeah,
But real love is about accepting each other's imperfections.
absolutely.
How can we use unselfish thinking to cultivate deeper and more meaningful connections?
It's about putting the needs of others before our own, at least some of the time. It's about practicing empathy and understanding where our loved ones are coming from. And it's about being willing to compromise and find solutions that work for everyone involved.
So it's about moving beyond our own ego and truly considering the needs and perspectives of others.
Yeah.
How can we use shared thinking to improve communication and understanding in our relationships?
Active listening is key.
Okay?
Really listen to what the other person is saying, not just waiting for your turn to talk.
Right.
Seek to understand their perspective, even if you don't agree with it. And when conflicts arise, work together to find solutions that are mutually beneficial.
Those are great tips. It's amazing how these thinking styles can help us not only navigate our personal relationships, but also become more engaged citizens of the world.
For sure.
How can we use these tools to better understand global issues and contribute to positive change?
Big picture thinking is essential for understanding the interconnectedness of the world and the impact our actions have on others. It's about seeing beyond our own immediate circle and considering the long-term consequences of our decisions.
So it's about expanding our awareness and thinking about the ripple effects of our choices.
Yeah.
How can question popular thinking help us become more discerning consumers of information and form our own informed opinions?
It's about being skeptical and challenging the status quo.
Okay.
Don't just blindly accept what you read or hear, even from seemingly authoritative sources.
Right.
Do your own research, consider different perspectives, and form your own conclusions based on critical thinking and evidence.
That's so important in today's world of information overload and fake news.
Absolutely.
We need to be critical thinkers and discerning consumers of information.
Yeah.
But how can unselfish thinking inspire us to take action and make a positive difference in the world?
It's about recognizing that we're all connected
Mm,
and that our actions have an impact on others.
right.
It's about finding ways to contribute to our communities and make the world a better place. Whether it's through volunteering, supporting causes we care about, or simply practicing random acts of kindness.
I love that. It's about shifting our focus from ourselves to others and finding ways to make a meaningful contribution.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about how these thinking styles can help us succeed in our careers,
Right?
grow as individuals, build strong relationships, and become more engaged citizens.
Mm-hmm.
But the world is constantly changing, and sometimes it feels like everything is uncertain.
Yeah.
How can these thinking styles help us navigate change and thrive in the face of uncertainty?
That's a great question. I think possibility thinking is especially crucial in times of change.
Okay.
Instead of fearing the unknown, embrace it as an opportunity for growth and discovery.
Mm,
Look for the silver lining in every cloud and believe that you can adapt and thrive no matter what challenges come your way.
It's like having a growth mindset, believing that we can learn and grow from any experience, even the difficult ones.
Exactly.
How can reflective thinking help us process change and make intentional choices about how we want to move forward?
Well, when things are changing rapidly,
Right.
it's easy to feel overwhelmed and reactive.
Mm-hmm.
Reflective thinking helps us to pause, step back, and evaluate the situation.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what's working, what's not working, and what adjustments do I need to make?
Right.
It's about taking ownership of our choices and consciously shaping our path forward.
It's about turning those challenges into opportunities for learning and growth.
Yeah,
But sometimes change feels so chaotic and unpredictable.
right.
How can we use creative thinking to find innovative solutions to new challenges and even discover opportunities in unexpected places?
That's the beauty of creative thinking.
Yeah,
It helps
yeah.
us to think outside the box and come up with solutions that we might not have considered before. It's about being resourceful, adaptable, and open to new ways of thinking and doing things.
So it's about turning those lemons into lemonade,
Exactly.
finding creative solutions to those unexpected challenges.
Yeah.
Now, thinking about navigating change also brings up the importance of making sound decisions.
Right.
How can these thinking styles guide us in making wise choices, both big and small?
Bottom line thinking is crucial for making effective decisions.
Yep.
Before making any decision, ask yourself,
Boy.
what's my desired outcome?
Hmm.
What am I really trying to achieve?
Okay.
Once you have clarity on your bottom line,
Right.
you can evaluate your options and make choices that align with your ultimate goals.
It's like having a compass that helps us stay on course and make decisions that lead us towards our desired destination.
Yeah, a good analogy.
But how can we use realistic thinking to avoid making impulsive decisions or getting swept up in wishful thinking?
Realistic thinking helps us to see the situation clearly
I like that.
without letting our emotions cloud our judgment. It's about weighing the pros and cons,
Right.
assessing potential risks, and making informed decisions based on facts and logic.
So it's about being grounded in reality and making sure our decisions are based on sound reasoning, not just fleeting emotions.
Exactly.
But sometimes we need more than just our own perspective to make a wise decision.
Right.
How can shared thinking guide us in making tough choices?
Don't be afraid to seek out advice and perspectives from trusted mentors, colleagues, or loved ones.
Okay.
Brainstorming with others can help you see angles you might have missed
Mm-hmm.
and consider options you hadn't thought of before.
Right.
Sometimes the best decisions are made collaboratively.
I love that. It's about tapping into the wisdom of the crowd and leveraging the collective intelligence of those around us.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've explored how these thinking styles can help us thrive in our careers,
Right.
grow personally, build strong relationships, navigate change, and make sound decisions. But are we missing anything? Is there anything else we should consider?
I think it's important to remember that these thinking styles aren't meant to be used in isolation. They work best when they're used together in a balanced and holistic way.
Right.
Think of them as different lenses through which you can view the world and approach problems.
I love that analogy. It's like having a mental toolbox with a variety of tools,
Yeah,
each designed for a specific purpose.
exactly.
But the key is knowing which tool to use for which job.
Exactly. And it's a continuous journey of learning, growth, and refinement.
Right.
We're never truly finished developing our thinking skills. It's a lifelong pursuit.
That's so true. It's about embracing a mindset of lifelong learning and being open to new possibilities.
Yeah.
But Maxwell also emphasizes that good thinking is hard work.
It is.
It takes effort and dedication to develop these skills.
Exactly.
Absolutely. It's not a passive process.
Right.
We need to be intentional about cultivating these thinking styles and making them a part of our daily lives.
Yeah,
But the rewards are well worth the effort.
they are.
I agree. It's about investing in ourselves and our ability to think clearly, creatively, and effectively. But it's also important to find joy in the process.
Yeah, I agree.
Remember, Maxwell is incredibly passionate about learning and growth.
He is.
And that enthusiasm is contagious.
It is. It's about approaching thinking as an adventure,
Right.
a journey of discovery and growth.
Mhm.
And remember, the possibilities are truly limitless.
Wow.
As we cultivate these thinking styles, we open ourselves up to a world of opportunities and unlock our potential to achieve amazing things.
Okay, I'm feeling energized and inspired.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure our listeners are eager to hear more about how they can put these thinking styles into practice in their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a quick break and then come back for part 3, where we'll wrap up our deep dive with some final thoughts and key takeaways. Welcome back. We've explored all 11 of John Maxwell's thinking styles, from big picture thinking to unselfish thinking.
It has been quite a journey.
It's been quite a journey, but now it's time to distill all this information into something you can actually use.
Yeah.
It's like we've been diving for pearls, and now we need to sort through our treasure chest and find the most precious gems.
Exactly.
What are the key takeaways that will make a real difference in your life?
Hmm.
Out of everything we've talked about, what are the top 3 things our listeners should remember?
First and foremost, thinking is a skill, not some innate talent you're born with.
Right.
Just like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and improved upon.
Okay.
That's what's so exciting about Maxwell's framework.
Yeah.
He's giving you the tools to become a better thinker.
It's like he's handing you a mental toolbox and saying, here, use these to upgrade your thinking and unlock your potential.
Exactly. The second key takeaway is that perspective is everything.
Okay.
We've talked about so many different thinking styles,
Right.
but they all have one thing in common.
Yeah.
They encourage you to see the world from different angles.
Whether it's big picture thinking, reflective thinking, or even questioning popular thinking,
Right.
it's all about expanding your viewpoint
Mm.
and challenging your assumptions.
Right. The more perspectives you can consider, the better equipped you'll be to make sound decisions and navigate the complexities of life.
It's like climbing to the top of a mountain and seeing the world from a whole new vantage point.
Yeah, exactly.
And finally, the third key takeaway is that action is key.
Oh, for sure.
All the thinking in the world won't get you anywhere if you don't put it into practice.
Exactly.
It's like having a brilliant idea for a business but never taking the steps to launch it.
Right.
You have to take action to see results.
Exactly. So think about these 11 thinking styles as a roadmap.
Okay.
They can guide you towards success, but you have to be the one to take the journey.
So we've got the map, we've got the tools.
Yeah,
Now it's time to put them to use.
for sure.
But where do we even begin?
Well, John Maxwell challenges us to change our thinking, to change our lives.
Right.
So think about one area in your life where you feel stuck.
Okay.
It could be your career, a relationship, a personal goal, anything where you feel like you're hitting a wall.
Once you've identified that area, ask yourself this: how can you apply a different type of thinking to unlock a breakthrough? Maybe it's time to try a dose of possibility thinking, or seek out the wisdom of shared thinking, or get crystal clear on your bottom line.
The key is to experiment and find what works best for you.
Right.
Remember, there's no one-size-fits-all approach to thinking.
Yeah.
It's about finding the tools and techniques that resonate with you and using them to create the life you want.
And don't forget, we're here to support you on your journey. We've got tons of resources on our website, including articles, worksheets, and even a community forum where you can connect with other deep divers.
We believe that everyone has the potential to become a brilliant thinker.
Mm.
It's just a matter of finding the right tools and putting in the effort.
So keep those minds sharp and those thinking caps on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into how successful people think. We hope you've walked away with some valuable insights and a renewed sense of inspiration to think differently and achieve amazing things.
I hope so too.
Until next time, Keep learning, keep growing, and keep thinking.